NC State has let me down. I had faith in the Wolfpack. Good team last year, returning head coach, liked the offseason. I liked so many things about NC State, Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack and Locked On ACC. Why is everything going horribly wrong? Because to me, it's more than just Grayson McCall's been in and out of the lineup with an injury. I mean, it doesn't look right.
You know, the biggest thing is we trusted that Tony Gibson could coach up 10 sentient Roombas and maybe one or two real ball players into being a good defense. Not saying that's what NC State has right now. NC State has some certified ball players, but the deficiencies are clear. The deficiencies that we're seeing are very much so very big things. And even beyond that, the biggest thing that I feel like is plaguing NC State right now is the seniors aren't performing. And I don't want to call guys out by name. I don't usually call guys out by name. Let me not say I don't want to. I want to be giving these guys praise. But there are multiple seniors that this was a bad year for them. This was, hey, if you play well this year, scouts have their eye on you. Guys who could have moved themselves up into first, second round territory that have laid an absolute egg. The only seniors that I can name that I can say, hey, that guy has not only played well, he's been an absolute bright spot on this team. Davin Van, DK Kaufman. Other than that, if you were to put the seniors on NC State in the Roman Coliseum, thumbs up, thumbs down, it'd be a lot of beheading going on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you. Granted, I'm not saying I would be head. I'm saying Roman Coliseum time. So in all seriousness, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I don't understand what happened to where there was a drop-off among some of the players that were considered the best in the nation at their respective positions. All of a sudden this year, they're like, do I really want to play football? Does it really mean that much to me? Do I want to come up and make this tackle? And that's the other thing. Tackling has been a major issue for NC State, which is the antithesis of all that NC State is. We are an ag school that prides ourselves on being a tough, hand-in-the-dirt school. You know what the toughest and most hand-in-the-dirt thing a team can possibly do is? Make a damn tackle. And yet, every single game, we see at least once or twice where all of a sudden with Tony Gibson's attacking defense, where everybody's up in the line of scrimmage, it necessitates at least decent tackling, because when you miss, it hurts a lot more than if your defense was conservative and you had multiple safeties deep. It just is not the case sometimes with us. And in the moment where we can't miss, we do.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well, and I think a lot of Wolfpack fans are feeling that way of like, yeah, this like even if the quarterback situation had been stable, even if the offense was good, I don't know that NC State's record would be any different than it is right now. They host Syracuse this week. I don't know if they're going to win that football game. They could turn things around a little if they do, but it's not going right. It's not going right. And coming into this year, Ken, I was pretty high on NC State, and I had them pegged as a team that could be a number 3 or 4 school in the ACC standings by the end of the year, push for a conference title game, be a dark horse contender. Their removal from that position has opened the door for other teams, and right now, you'd have to look at SMU and Pitt and say, they've walked through the door because SMU went into Louisville and won. Pitt hasn't lost a game yet, and they're ranked in the top 25, hosting Cal this week. I still see a gap between the two best teams in this league. Miami and Clemson, gap. Everybody else. Not a Moneyball 50 feet of crap sort of disparity there, but certainly a sizable enough difference to where I'm like, I don't know that there's a third legitimate contender right now. Like, Pitt is good. I don't know if Pitt is great. SMU's good. I don't know if SMU is great. Are those the only teams you see as, filling that number 3 spot? Or do you think Louisville could bounce back? Or am I missing somebody?
I would honestly not disagree on those teams being third or whoever's in third. What I would disagree with you on, I don't think that there's 1-2 gap. I don't think that that's the case at all. I think there's.
You don't think Miami and Clemson are playing football head and shoulders above everybody else?
Let me ask you this. Against Power 4 teams who will have head coaches at the beginning of the year, what is Miami's average margin of victory? So against every Power 4 team except Florida, who we all know, Billy Napier is going to be on Locked On College Football next year. Don't worry, Billy. We got a landing spot for you. Spencer's been looking for a co-host, Billy. William, can I call you William? I'm going to call you William. William, come on the show. He needs you. He's your guy. But with that being said, they have not impressed me at all. At all. And that's not to disrespect Miami, but to say, well, they had a bad game against Virginia Tech. Why? You're at home. It's a night game. Great environment. Okay, they had to travel out to Cal that night. If it weren't for a blown targeting call, Miami loses that game. Miami loses that game if it's not for the refs inexplicably saying, yeah, you know what?
I don't know about completely inexplicable.
I will say this. I know if you're a Miami fan based on the angle of that play you showed me. Because I've seen about 7 angles of it, and I know you're a Miami fan if I see the one from behind. I know that's the one.
I have seen here's what I'd say on that. I have seen less severe hits be called targeting in the past. I understand the official's argument that Mendoza's not a defenseless player, and that's what it ultimately comes down to. And when a non-defenseless player drops his head down, that's a pretty difficult position for the defender to be in.
And this is what I tweeted about Saturday night. It's, to me, I agree with the no call if we're going off common sense. However, that rule is not written in a common sense way.
No, it's not.
That call and the hit to Grayson McCall earlier in the day. And both of them, the offensive player lowered their head. And that's not something I'm debating or saying, oh, no, like the offensive players to me should never be able to change the level of their helmet and still receive targeting. I had 1,000% agree with that. But to the letter of the rule, it is what it is. Yeah. And to that, I'm saying, did we have a launch? Did we have forcible contact to the head and neck area? What more are we looking for here? So again, this is not me hating on Miami, because I would love nothing more than to see them dominate. I mean, dominate. And at this point, I don't even care if it's a bad team. Just a team that's not a completely rudderless ship like Florida is, dominate. And I'll give you your ones. I'll say, hey, there's a gap. But I cannot say that with what I've currently seen out of that Miami team.
I think that's one interpretation. The other side of that coin, which is where I tend to lean, is Miami is not playing their best, cleanest football over the last 2 games, and they have found ways to win, and I tend to give them credit for that. I think Cam Ward is a big reason why. Like, Cam Ward might have been the most singularly impactful quarterback transfer in the offseason. If there was anyone, like, what other quarterback that was available could have Miami in the position they're in right now? Like, I mean, serious question.
No,
what was there one? Because I don't think there was.
I 1,000% agree. I would take nothing away from Cam Ward. You get the full Cam Ward experience with Cam Ward in every game in the ACC. You know, everybody in the Pac-12 already knew this. You were going to have those players be like, oh, my God, he's a freak. He's crazy.
Up here. He's down here. There's not a lot of hanging out in the middle with Cam Ward. There's a lot of, wow.
Is Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? Yes. Which one am I going to get, right? I'm gonna get a master class, or I'm going to get a Why? Why would you throw Leighton across the middle, across your body in a quadruple coverage camera? So, you know, I give them their respect. Again, that defensive line, one of the best in the country. One of the best in the country. That they absolutely can get it done in waves, by the way.
And I think that was an under-the-radar reason why they were able to come back against Cal. Like, yes, there was a targeting call and whatnot, but there were several other stops, and it was the Miami defensive line just overwhelming the Bears' offensive line.
Absolutely. Now, wait. I want to make one thing clear. The missed targeting is not the only reason that they came back, right?
No, it is not.
The defensive line whooping the wheels off of Cal up front was so important. Why does that matter? If you whoop the wheels off an opponent on the offensive line, what does that mean? They cannot effectively do what? Run the ball.
They can't do anything.
Well, of course you can't do anything, but running the ball is the most important thing when you have a lead. Why is that? Because if you have a lead, all you're trying to do, get that damn clock to 0 as soon as possible. If you cannot run the ball, the clock is going to take some time. You're going to have to throw incompletions because you can't run the ball. And even if you do run the ball, instead of having a sustained drive of, even if you have to punt it after 2 first downs, you're looking at what, 7-8 plays at that point in time, generally? Like, that's you're going to be looking at a much different situation than what we saw, where the fourth quarter, I believe they had all of 2 minutes or so, or 3 minutes of time of possession in the entire fourth quarter. That type of thing will get you killed every single time. So again, the missed targeting was not all that there was to this game, very similarly to the fact that the Hail Mary was not all there was to the Virginia Tech game. And nor am I saying, hey, there's a conspiracy, there's an ACC cabal is working to make Miami. No, ACC reps are just being ACC reps. But what I am saying is, I look at those two games, and to me, it is, I believe that you are not a different guy every single day, even for 18 to 22-year-olds. As a team, as a collective, you're not a different guy every single day. You are an amalgamation of your habits. And if you are winning in this ugly, kind of broken, kind of, we don't really figure it out till late,
all right.
you're going to do that later against a team that may be playing their best day.
I think Miami will lose a game eventually in the regular season. I just think these were two great opportunities, and Cal and Virginia Tech weren't able to capitalize. We didn't really touch on Clemson, but Clemson playing very
Clemson's
good.
Clemson's
playing some really good football right now, which doesn't really surprise me. Might surprise some people. Doesn't surprise me a ton. Kenton Gibbs, Locked On ACC, Locked On Wolfpack as well. Appreciate it as always, my man.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, man. And I'm going to tell you what. Next time you have me on this show, please don't mention NC State, all right? I got my Detroit Lions winning. The Tigers played great baseball to get themselves into the playoffs. The guys are playing that's working, and you got to talk to me about the one team in my life that's letting me down.
It's Locked On College Football, Kenton. That's the way that it works around here. And there are a bunch of great college football games this week. You know about the big ones. What about the ones flying under the radar? Don't miss these games coming up next.